Have you ever dreamed of living on an island and are curious to know what it's like? We've been here on this off-grid eco-resort for 6 weeks in Bocas del Toro, and in this video, we'll show you what it's really like.
When we came back to Panama this year, we started house sitting, and this was actually the first property we got approved for. We were so excited to get here, and when we arrived, we were in awe of the beauty and nature of this place, and the first week felt like vacation. But after a little while, we learned a few things that you wouldn't learn on vacation, so let's get into it.
It is the rainy season.
It is the rainy season.
It is the rainy.
It is very rainy.
It's the rainy season. Okay,
It is very rainy.
Okay.
It is.
There's some things that we had to get used to right away. It is the rainy season, so thunderstorms and torrential downpours happen every day or every other day, sometimes all night.
We were going to head into town today, but as you can see, there's a crazy storm coming, so we're going to have to do that tomorrow instead.
The bugs, we have super loud cicadas that come out at night, parrots that squawk in the mornings. And there's no siams, the little chitras. Those things bite you everywhere. There's so many of them, but they're not as bad as mosquitoes, in my opinion. We have those too.
The heat can get to you because there's no AC. However, there are ceiling fans and a nice ocean breeze. There's no hot water. However, there can be hot water on the island. We just don't have it here. There's a rain catchment system for the drinking water, and there are batteries. Luckily, we are in the rainy season, so we have plenty of water this time, but that could be a problem in the dry season. And we have to pay attention to our batteries because of the rainy season and all of the cloudiness, those can be really low, which we've experienced. Also, if you need repairs, that can be very problematic because there aren't that many repairmen for the boats nearby here and anything else like the generators, so that could be very expensive and timely. And lastly, getting deliveries here is pretty much non-existent. Anything you need, like gas for the stove and gasoline for your boat, you have to either go get it yourself or send someone that you know.
The cost to go to the main island can get pretty expensive. From here, it's a 15-minute boat ride and it costs $10 per person each way. It's also very isolating on the islands and you really aren't interacting with that many people. And because you have to cook every single meal, that's also problematic if you don't like cooking. And when you grocery shop, if you're only grocery shopping like us once per week, you have to ration the food and make sure that you have, fresh food and that it doesn't go bad. So keeping things fresh and interesting can definitely be a challenge.
And now to the good stuff. We saw so much wildlife over here. We saw sharks, dolphins, stingrays, manta rays, jellyfish, other fish, frogs, snakes, and of course crabs. The views are amazing over here, swimming right off the docks and kayaking around the mangroves.
If you're interested in property here in Panama, we met with a real estate agent that told us the difference between titled and right of possession land. Right of possession, ROP property, is when a Panamanian has been on the property and worked the land for a certain period of time that they get ownership over the land and they can sell it to foreigners. There are some benefits to right of possession, like not having to pay property taxes, but there are also some downsides, like there are issues with squatters. You need a property manager or somebody around to maintain your property in the perimeter. You'll notice that there are a lot of really good deals, like fire sale kind of deals on properties here. And a lot of people are building their houses with materials that are very expensive. They're not really getting their money back out of those. And a lot of the materials are coming from the mainland, and there's additional logistics, of course, to getting them to the island, which adds additional costs. We realized after looking for a while, you really want to be closer to town probably than you think. Once you're out on the water and it gets choppy and you have to go back and forth to the island quite a few times, you'll realize that living about 15 minutes away from the mainland is a lot better than living 30 or 45 minutes. That's something to consider when you're looking at properties, but we have not yet done a property hunt here I think we're not going to after having been here for a while. It's not in the cards for us. But let us know in the comments if you guys end up looking at properties here in Bocas.
On the bright side, Bocas de Toro is an up-and-coming place. There's lots of foreign investments pouring in. The tourism economy hasn't fully recovered from the pandemic. However, there's lots of opportunities here, and they might not be around for a long time.
I had a minor health scare when we were here on the island. This mole in my neck had turned black for no apparent reason. And when I went to try to get treatment for it and have it looked at, there was nobody in the hospital here, and I would have to either fly an hour flight into Panama City, or I would have to go take about a 4-hour bus ride to Boquete to get to David. None of those options really sounded that great to me when I was stuck here on the island because we had our property that we're house sitting and only I could leave. We both couldn't go together. So that's something to consider when you're on an island. We've also had a lot more minor health issues than we normally would, like things like skin rashes and irritation between my fingers. We both got ear infections when we came here when we were swimming. We had a number of minor little things like aching joints and tons of bug bites. So these are definitely things to consider when you're out here on the island because little minor health things seem to be happening a lot more often here than some other places that we live. This is really accessible actually to only have to take a flight for an hour or take a bus ride for 4 hours. So if you really do need that specialized treatment, it isn't impossible to get it. The hospitals are pretty close, and there is one that's closer in, I believe it's called Changuinola, and that hospital has dermatology, but it really depends on your specific healthcare needs. But that's definitely something to think about when you're living out here in Bocas on an island.
When it comes to safety and security, thefts and burglaries do happen here. For example, our neighbor got burglarized. He was in the financial industry, so that could have had something to do with it. When you live here alone, you feel a little bit like a sitting duck because there are boats passing by throughout the day. Bocas del Toro has a little bit of this underlying city vibe. However, Panama as a whole is a much safer place. Statistically, crime is low, and we felt safer here than a lot of places in Europe and even in the US.
After living here for 6 weeks, we finally wanted to make the decision of, are we thinking about settling down here in Bocas del Toro on the islands? And we decided that this really wasn't the lifestyle for us. We weighed the pros and cons, and the downsides definitely outweighed the benefits for us. We just didn't fall in deep enough love with this place. And even though we absolutely loved our time here on the islands, and we were so excited to be here, we're looking forward to our next adventure, and we're gonna keep searching for that place to call home. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and check out our other video when we first arrived called Can We Survive on this private island eco resort. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.